Hey everybody, Brian here with Way Follower Fellowship, and tonight, I'm on my way to an AA meeting, and it's for first responders. But I was just kind of thinking about something I wanted to talk about, and that's the question is who do you serve? So one of the things that came to mind when I was in rehab was in the Bible where it talks about, choose this day who you will serve, and as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. It got me to thinking, of course that's a paraphrase obviously, but got me to thinking that everybody serves whether they want to or not. They're serving someone or something, right? Whether it be a boss at work, whether it be, they're serving their own interests. When it comes to spirituality, whether they serve one God or multiple gods or, things like that. I mean, there's always something you're serving. You can't get away from it. There's no real independence when it comes to living life. I mean, you're always going to be dependent on serving someone or something else. You're not going to be able to make any money to live, to have a house or anything like that, unless you're doing work, which means that you're serving a boss, or you're serving customers, or you're serving both. Excuse me. Even if you are your own boss, right? Even if you have your own company, your company's not going to be successful unless you're serving a customer base, somebody who purchases your services or goods. The question is that who do you serve? Why do you serve them? And how do you serve? And there's nothing different in the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, you'll either be serving the God of all creation, God, King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, or you're going to be serving your own desires, or the desires of the enemy, right? You're going to, if you're not for God, you're against God. So if you're not behaving or serving in a way that honors God, then it's either you're serving yourself or you're serving the enemy. And serving yourself may as well be the same as serving your enemy, because it's not glorifying the kingdom, and you're not going about kingdom business. And I can't count how many times I've been serving myself or serving the enemy over the past 30 years. I mean, I was just off the rails, way out of pocket, and just did stupid things, and did not glorify God. And it wasn't, until, as far as this recent reemergence and this recent change in me, it wasn't until I realized that no matter what I do, no matter where I go, I am going to be in service. And I need to decide, who am I going to serve? And I need to actively decide that every day, every second, every moment that I exist. I need to decide, am I serving my God? Am I serving the Lord of all creation? Or am I serving something or someone else? And if I'm serving something or someone else, then I need to take a hard look, right? I need to kind of do a gut check and say, hey, if I'm doing these things and it's not glorifying God in some capacity, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be an overt glorification where I've got a cross tattooed on my forehead, that everything I do, and it has to be overtly something that proclaims the gospel. But let's say I'm at my job, right? So some of y'all know I Uber part-time for some extra money. When I go to Uber, I have two choices. I can go to Uber and just say, hey, I'm just going to be here to earn a paycheck, and that's it. Just a little extra money for some, money for the kids, or money for some fun money, or whatever. Or I can come at it with the approach that I'm going to approach this, job working for Uber, that I'm going to make sure that I'm treating my customers, or my passengers with the kind of respect that Jesus would. That Jesus would show that loving respect. And I don't have to pronounce it. I don't have to announce it to them. Hey, I'm treating you this way because this is what Jesus did. But I just do it, right? And then if my mindset is I'm trying to get these people to and from their locations, safely, and in a way, trying to do it in a way that kind of keeps them, from being harmed in some way, or kind of protecting them in some way, because I want to visit that love on them, just like Jesus said, to love our neighbors as ourselves. I want to show that love to them by getting them to and from their location and respecting their boundaries, whatever those boundaries might be. Some passengers like to talk, some don't want to say a word. But again, is my heart in it just to get the money, or is my heart in it to have an opportunity to be able to live out the things that I believe are true? And then, on top of that, I get some money as well, and that's all nice. But is it an opportunity for me to be able to live out, the gospel with people that I normally otherwise would never have met, would never have probably run across, or had the opportunity to be to touch their lives at all. The same thing can be translated into let's say you're a warehouse worker. Are you shortchanging your boss? Are you shamming on the job? And is that something that Jesus would advocate? Would he advocate? Well, boss makes $1 and I make a dime, so I use the restroom on company time. There's that meme going around. I've seen it a couple of times, where the picture of somebody using the restroom, sitting on the toilet, playing on their phone, obviously not actively using the restroom, just wasting time. We've got to really consider that if God is the God of our lives, if He's the entirety of, if He's our focus in life, then He should be our focus in every aspect of our life, and that includes, work, that includes friends, that includes family, that includes strangers, that includes, it includes everything. It's all inclusive. When we submit our lives to God, we submit everything to Him. And so we need to try. I'm not going to say you're going to be perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying anybody's going to be perfect in this, but I think it's something that we need to try to have in the forefront of our mind, that is what I'm doing something that is glorifying to God? Does it glorify the kingdom? If I get angry driving down the road and I flip somebody off, I give somebody the middle finger, is that glorifying to God? Or is it me allowing my anger to boil over? And instead of seeking God in that moment, I'm seeking my own self-satisfaction in, insulting that person. If I'm at the grocery store and somebody's taking a particularly long time at checkout, and it's just not, and it's just not my day, and I'm frustrated, I need to get out of there because I need to get to an appointment or whatever, and I start mumbling and grumbling under my breath, is that action, is that behavior serving God? Or is it serving myself? Or is it serving someone or something else? These are all and it's not easy, right? There are some people out there that are just going to get under your skin. They're going to make you hot under the collar, and you're going to just be steaming, and it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, in those moments, to forget yourself and focus on God. Don't forget yourself as far as forgetting your self-control, but forget what it is that's bothering you and focus on God in that moment. Like, how can I how can I in this moment turn towards God and serve Him? If that means just standing there and being quiet and not saying anything, even if you are angry, just keeping your mouth shut and not, mumbling just loud enough for that person to hear how frustrated you are, right? So it's one of those things that it takes practice, right? It's not going to be something that's just going to come to most of us anyway. I mean, I'm not going to say that God couldn't do this for someone where that's the boom, and pop, it's done, and they have that ability to just divorce their pride and serve God at all times. Sure, it's possible. God is, He has the power to do all things. But for us, oftentimes it's not that way. In the vast majority of cases, it's a matter of practicing, a matter of putting into practice the things we know we should be doing, the things we know we should be striving for, and that's all part of that purification process and helping to sanctify those who profess to believe. And so it's going to be something that is going to take time, and you're going to have to be patient with yourself. I mean, don't say you're at the gas station and you're waiting in line to pump gas, and there's this guy in front of you, and he's just taking his sweet time, and you're like, I gotta go, I gotta get to wherever because it's important to me, and this guy's taking forever, and I start honking on the horn and be like, hey, hurry up, what are you doing? Come on, guy, hurry up. And I'm just, lambasting him with, my impatience. And, when it's all said and done, maybe I've pumped my gas, he's moved on, I've pumped my gas, and now all of a sudden I feel that conviction, right? Oh man, I should not have acted that way. Man, that was really, really poor spirited of me to act that way. Well, don't sit there and just sit in your shame, right? Don't sit there and sit in your guilt and think to yourself, I'm such a horrible person. Like, give yourself some grace. I mean, God gives you grace, so give yourself some grace in that moment and say, you know what? Yeah, I feel the conviction. I feel, being that I shouldn't have acted that way. And I'm going to make better choices in the future. Next time something like that happens, I'm going to remember this moment. I'm going to remember that's not how I'm supposed to behave, and I'm going to do better next time. And you repent. Right? That's what repenting is. It's saying, okay, I messed up. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do something different the next time. And God's you're forgiven, right? That's not something that's going to be, held against you, but it's something that's being used to teach you. Like, okay, that was not okay. That's just like with my son, my youngest son at preschool today. He started off with a great day. Teacher said the first half of the day was fantastic. He was a great kid. He listened. He followed directions. He was sweet. And then in the afternoon, not so much. The teacher said he started slapping and hitting them, and started slapping and hitting other kids, and all sorts of stuff. I, of course, I had to get onto him. I had to teach him, like, hey, this is not okay. You're not going to get, treats. You're not going to get sweets or desserts. You're going to have dinner. You can have water or milk, but you're not going to have juice, right? That's a treat for you. You're not going to have juice. You're not going to have sweets. You're not going to get to play on the phone. Play games on different things. So to try to teach him that behavior is not going to be accepted. It's not acceptable behavior. So that's kind of what the Spirit does to us sometimes. Sometimes we have physical consequences. Sometimes we have very real, tangible consequences in our lives. Boy, howdy do I know it. I've had many tangible consequences. I was very thick-headed. I'm sure, God was very frustrated at me at times. He's like, how many times do I have to teach you the same lesson over and over again before you finally get it? But in other times, it's as simple as just giving your heart a conviction and saying, that was not okay. That was, I shouldn't have done that. And then learning from it and growing from it. And if that's all it takes to repent and learn and grow and become a better version, a more Christ-like version of what we're called to be, then great. That's exactly what that conviction is meant to do. So don't beat yourself up too much, right? Take the hit. Like, all right, I feel bad. That was not the way I was supposed to do it. So I'm gonna do better next time. I'm gonna change the way I behave next time something like that happens. And then the next time something like that happens, do your best to remember that you've made that decision, that you're going to change, that you're not going to react that same way again. And then just keep building on those positive actions for the kingdom. It may seem insignificant, it may seem small, right? Something as simple as letting somebody in traffic, it's not because you're doing that, not because you're wanting to be, I let you into traffic, but if you have the motivation of doing it because, you know what, I'm going to be kind to this person because God has asked me to be kind. He's asked me to love doesn't have to be a grandiose gesture for it to be useful for the kingdom. Love can be as simple as holding a door for someone, or being at a grocery store, hearing somebody saying they're trying to find some kind of food item and they're having a hard time finding it, and then maybe taking a few extra minutes to try to help them locate it. Don't even tell them. You don't have to tell them. Just take a few extra minutes, try to locate it, and if you find it, then go find them and take it to them. Make sure they have it. But it's not something where you're trying to glorify yourself. It's something where you're trying to do something right and keep your heart right. Keep your heart on the kingdom energy, right? The kingdom power. That's what you're trying to do is live your life. Bringing when we say may your kingdom come, may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We are that, right? Like it's our job to bring the kingdom here. To be loyal subjects of the kingdom is to do God's will, and part of that is to love other people. So be the kingdom you wish this world could be, right? Be part of that. Be part of that movement to become. Don't expect that there's going to be some charity somewhere, or there's going to be some theologian or some evangelist somewhere that's going to be so inspirational that he's going to change the entire face of the nation and create that king. No, each and every one of us has a responsibility to be the kingdom that we want God's kingdom to be, like down here. That God wants His kingdom to be. I misspoke there a little bit. To be God's kingdom to other people. Right? Be God's kingdom to the world. That's part of our calling. That's part of what we should want to do. And so it's not some existential idea of imagine what it would be like if God's kingdom was here. No. Do what God's kingdom would be like. Be what God's kingdom would be like. And I think you're going to see, if you do that, and again, it's not going to be easy, you're going to stumble, you're going to mess up, but the striving, the heart, the effort, that's where it's at, and that's where you get better, and you get better. Nobody was able to play soccer the very first time they kicked a soccer ball, but they learned from it, they grew from it, they made mistakes, and they learned, and they got training, and they trained themselves, and they took their physical health seriously, and all these things. And they became better. That's the same thing for us, right? We can't be perfect right off the bat. We're not going to be proficient, even proficient, let alone perfect. We're not going to be proficient right off the bat, but it's going to take time, and it's going to take effort, and it's going to take, okay, I messed up. How do I fix that? Okay, what do I need to do next time something like that happens? How do I turn away from my anger? How do I turn away from my frustration or my selfishness or whatever it is that I was struggling with in that moment, in those moments, so that I don't behave in a way that's against, the kingdom. So yeah, you're gonna serve. The only question is who or what are you gonna serve? So, all right. Thanks for hearing me out. I love you. Go with Christ.